Hey BookTube, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and it's time for a bookish update. I also have a bit of a book haul for you guys. So currently I am reading The Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne, which this is the 50th anniversary edition of it. I like the colored pages, the color in the black and white. I mean black and pink, and with the gold title, the gold in the title and everything. I think it's really pretty. So far this is really good. I mean, yeah, there are some things about there is language in here that I don't, and I'm not talking about the 1940s slang or anything, but there are some slurs in here that aren't great. But I mean, considering this is a different time period and this was also published in the 60s, I'm gonna just not let it faze me because it's still a really good story. I feel like, and I'm not understanding the length. A lot of people, there were some reviews because I was curious why people didn't love this book, because I do believe there are some people that don't love it, and some people it was complaining about, it was still good, but they could have cut out some pages, and for me personally, I'm not feeling the length. But we have three main characters. The first part is Anne, and I think Anna Wells. And she's a girl from Lawrenceville, Massachusetts, and had left there because her mom was pressuring her to get married to this young man that she's known since she was a child. And she didn't want that. She wants independence and she wants freedom. And she wants to go to New York and see what she can make of the world outside of Lawrenceville. And becomes part of the Broadway scene. Gets a job as an assistant to this guy, Henry Bellamy, who is a lawyer for, Hollywood stars. Ends up being an insurance salesman or a guy that she thinks is an insurance salesman, but later learns that he's wealthy. And his dad is a tycoon. And ends up, the guy, Alan is his name, he wants to marry her. And even though Anne tells her she's not interested in marriage right now, he keeps pressuring and say, "Oh, I can make you love me, and you'll change your mind once you've been married to me, and once we've been together for a long time." And it's to this point she never changes her mind about him. She likes him, but she doesn't love him and doesn't want to settle down. And she becomes her roommate Neely wants to be involved in this famous show, Hit the Sky, which stars this infamous actress Helen Lawson, she's an older actress, but she's still got it. She's still really good, but she will break some toes and step on people, and her and Anne cross paths and become friends because, Anne sees this side of Helen that is really nice and, seems to want to be friends with her, even though she's warned that Helen's not that great of a person and is a master manipulator. And she also ends up having a crush on Lionel Burke, who is this guy. I don't know what he does. Like, he works for Bellamy, I think. And he was a ladies' man, and all these women had a crush on him. And he might have been like a producer or something, or I wish I could remember what it was he did. But and becomes infatuated with him. And Henry doesn't like it because Lionel was a bit of a player back in the day, but then he was a soldier in World War II and has come back supposedly a changed man, and he doesn't want to get married. He doesn't want to get married, and Anne still wants that. She wants a family, but she's not ready to settle down with Alan. And Henry is worried that she's gonna hook up with Lionel and get her heart broken. And now we are on the part with Jennifer, so Anne's story is temporarily ended. I don't know if that's gonna be the final, or if we're gonna get more. I mean, I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more get some bits and pieces, because she does end up becoming friends with Jennifer, who is our next perspective. And like I said, she's also friends with Neely. They're roommates. So I'm assuming we will still get Anne and Jennifer's story, Anne's story even through Jennifer. And then when we get to Neely, I'm sure we'll get both Anne and Jennifer's stories through Neely. Maybe it won't be the main focus, but we'll still get bits and pieces of their what's going on with them. And I really like it. Like I said, there are some things in here like slurs and stuff. But to be fair, this was written in the 60s, published in the 60s, and is set in the 40s. So, I mean, if you're not comfortable with that kind of some of these slurs for, certain groups of people, then that's fine. If that is part of why the book isn't for you. But for me, it doesn't bother me because I know that those were unkind. Those are horrible, but sadly, was part of the way people were back then. Not acceptable, but and I'm not feeling, like I said, I'm not feeling the length. Like I know a lot of reviewers said that it was too long, but so far I'm not bothered by it. I mean, of course, I'm a fantasy reader, and as Mike from Mike's Book Reviews pointed out, that fantasy readers are used to that, and I've read longer books. But anyway, I am curious to get Jennifer's part because Jennifer's gonna be a little different from Anne. Anne is a good girl, very sweet, very caring. She wants to believe the best in people, and she takes people at face value, and unfortunately that can bite her in the ass because she learns that hell is not, everyone was right about Helen. Helen's kind of a bitch and doesn't care about anyone but herself, which is why she's alone in the world. I kind of pity her character, because she is stepping on everyone's toes just to get on top, and in the end she's not gonna have anyone, because girls don't like mean girls that they feel like they have to compete with, that girl is gonna push them down, to get where she wants to go, and guys are gonna get tired of her. That's what happens. She tries to get with this one guy, and he just, and trying to use Anne to help her with that, because Anne knows the guy, and the guy Anne finds out that the guy is not really interested. Like, he had fun with her, but now he's bored and he doesn't want to commit. But this so far is really intriguing, and I love reading about this world, this environment, at a safe distance, because I would never want to be a part of Broadway or Hollywood. I mean, there was a time I did want to get into acting, but then, I would cry during auditions, so I don't think I could have handled this cutthroat business of Hollywood or Broadway. But this way, I can get close to it, learn about it without actually having to be part of it. What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I remember Greg from Supposedly Fun read a book called, I think it was called Tell All or something. It's fiction. And I don't know who the author is, but it also kind of has a similar, it is also about the Hollywood scene and everything, and gossip and all that. And it kind of sounds something I would be interested. Like, it makes me think of this book a little bit, or this book makes me think of that book, I should say, because I didn't know about this book. Like, I'd heard the title before, but I didn't know what it's about at the time when Greg talked about that book. So, but anyway, I'm enjoying this so far. I'm having a good time with it. Okay, so, what was I gonna say? Anyway, so I did do a review for, I just published some reviews for Journey to the Center of the Earth and The American Center, which I just finished. I had a good time with that book. I really enjoyed that story, and, what I'm doing now is just having my dad look at my reviews, because he does write himself, and he's working on another book, but he has 2 books out: Sage Among the Pines and Shadows of Saigon. Shadows of Saigon is a Vietnam story, set in the 60s during Vietnam era. Like, you have this man who, in the present day, he is, as an old man, he is has surgery because he had a heart attack. And during his anesthesia, he ends up flashing back to his high school years and when he was in the war, and he met the love of his life. And that whole experience. So in a way, it's not exactly. I don't know if you call it considered coming of age because he is out of high school, young adult age. The main character, Grady. And then we have his second book, Sage Among the Pines. That's more of a coming of age story where you have this girl. Her dad is a soldier who got shot down. Her mom became an alcoholic, and her parents were having problems, and she doesn't really get along with mom. And then when her mom has to go to rehab, she is sent to live with her grandparents in North Carolina. And it's her, time there and getting life lessons from her grandfather and learning about the world around her, taking care of horses. And so if you're a horse girl, you might like it. I mean, if you're a horse girl, that might be an interesting aspect of the story for you. Like I said, coming of age, historical, a little bit. And the other one he's working on, the one he's actually working on right now is, I don't know the title of it, but this one is one of those multi-timeline stories where in the present day, there are these people that work construction. They buy a house, a huge mansion, and they come across this journal about a record of a woman during World War II, a French woman who ended up who was forced to host a Nazi soldier, and experienced the consequences of having to do that. It sounded like a really, I'm biased here, I admit that, but it did sound, every time my dad has described it to me, it does sound really interesting story, even though, and of course a very emotional story, and I hope you guys consider it when because I'll probably talk about it again to help promote it, but like I said, I am biased, but if you do, if you like World War II stories, then maybe check it out once I bring it up again, and it's because it's published. So yeah, he did a little writing with his previous job before he retired. So I've been having him look at my reviews, and because I just don't feel like I could do better with them. And I wanted to and I feel really good when I read what the changes he has made. I feel it looks a lot better in my opinion. I have been taking into consideration some of his suggestions too, so hopefully my other review will be better. Well, is better, and he doesn't have to do as much with that one, which is the American Senator review. And so I'm just focusing on the Valley of the Dolls at the moment, and then I might pick out something else to read. I'm thinking about continuing with Grace of the Kings, picking up that one as well, but there's other books I'm thinking of too. But I do feel like I should get to Grace of Kings next, because like I said, I have all the books in that series, and I want to get started and make some progress on that. Ideally, finish the whole series by the end of the year would be awesome. I mean, if I don't, that's okay. But I was very pleased though that I started the year finishing the Hearthstone trilogy. I mean, I would have liked to read Flamebringer in December, but I didn't get around to it. But I did get it in January, so that's the next best thing. I'm happy about that. Anyway, so like I said, I have a book haul, but first, actually, so this was really cute. My mom was just visiting my grandmother, my Lola, because she had some appointments, and my mom wanted to be there for her birthday, because since we couldn't be there because I had to work, and while she was there, she got me this, which I think is really cute. It does refer to, a romance novel, which, I'm not a big romance reader, but I still think it's kind of cute. And I think I'm gonna put some bookmarks in this. I'm gonna put some of my bookmarks in this thing, and probably put it on my shelf. But yeah, I like the colors of the pink and green. I don't remember what kind of green this is. I used to know it. I hate when the moment I'm trying to think of what the color, something is, what it is escapes me. It says, "Meet me at the bookstore." That's the title, and it has like all these like national bestseller, meet a real tearjerker. Um, and I guess I don't know if this is the author. I guess this is the author's name. And there's some other quotes that is full of plot, twist, drama, and mystery. Part of Self Love Book Club. But I thought it was really cute. So, and it's great for Valentine's Day. Um, I mean, super my mom didn't. I think it would have been really a great gift for like, because sometimes I still will get treats on Valentine's Day for my parents, not just a card. And I think this would have been perfect for Valentine's Day. But anyway, so like I said, I'm gonna probably put bookmarks in here and put it on my shelf for now. But I thought this was really cute, so I really love that she got me this cute little. Okay, now actually onto the book haul. Okay, so first I'm just gonna grab them in the order. So this was on my thrift books wish list. This was one that I have been meaning to buy, and it's probably one of the ones that's been on here on that wish list for the longest. And I think it's three books. So I think it's a trilogy. It's Amber Low, I think is how you say it. This was by Laura Elena Donnelly. I don't know if it's actually like if there's actual fantasy elements like magic and stuff in this or not, but it's an alternate version of I think the 1930s. Meet a smuggler, a dancer, and a spy during a decadent era just before a political coup is about to set fire to the city. So I don't know if this is. I think this is set during the 30s, but I remember hearing a lot about it from Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and how great it was, and it just sounded like a fun story. I remember, and I put it on my list, and I don't know if I ever saw it at Books A Million or not, but I put it on my list to eventually buy it, and I did. The only problem is what I've run into with series is that I read the first book, and it takes me a long time before I get the next book in the series, and then I eventually lose interest. So I'm going to try to make sure this one I get remember to get the books from the series. Like it's hard when it's not at like Books A Billion, because then if it's not there, then I have to get online, and then I'm trying not to shop online as much. And unfortunately, my used bookstore that's within walking distance is not. I've never seen this book. Like their fantasy collection is not ideal, but I'm working on helping them with that by making sure I bring in some of my fantasy books, even if they're mine. I at least am adding to their collection. But no, it's never been. I mean, you never know. It might show up there one day, but yeah, I end up having to buy them at online, or hoping someone will buy it for me. But this kind of feels like one of those very gritty, very dark thriller type stories. And for me, when it comes to thrillers, I kind of prefer the thrillers that have the fantasy element, or the like an otherworldly or like sci-fi element. Those are more interesting to me than modern day thrillers. I mean, I've made exceptions. Ruth Ware, I've tried her out, and I thought the books were, the ones. I think I've read 2 by her. I thought they were kind of fun. Like I don't hate it. It's just I prefer ones where they have this extra kick of some a fantasy element, like a magic or it's supernatural, or it's historical and set in a different time period, or like, or there's maybe the sci-fi element, because I'm still somewhat interested in giving the Expanse series another chance, but that's a long one too, and each book is pretty big, so. And it just had another book come out, and the author Dua has written other works as well, and recently published a new novel. But yeah, it just sounded really, really engaging story, really exciting and thrilling story. I think it's set in the 30s. Yeah, and I love this cover. I love it kind of reminds me of The Great Gatsby. But like with but like a darker version of The Great Gatsby. Even well, all of that story's pretty dark. I mean, considering how it ends. But anyway, so there's that. Okay, so okay, these are not in order of where I got them because that one was I have two more thrift books, but the current book on the next book was not a thrift book purchase, and that is I got from Gibbons Bookshop. This is an autobiography of Tiberius Claudius, one of the Roman emperors, by Robert Graves. I remember, and I've heard about this multiple times. I've heard about this book multiple times before. Although what I don't get is it says, or no, I misread that. It says from the autobiography of Tiberius Claudius. This is a work of fiction. So I think it fictionalizes his life a little bit. Which I find that really interesting when they take something, a real person, but do a fictionalized version of their life. Like Blonde by Joyce Carol Oates is like that. And I haven't read it yet, but it does the same thing where it's like this person really does exist. And you probably could find a biography of, I mean, I do have one actually. I have one actually of Marilyn Monroe. But this kind of fictionalizes and speculates about her life. And although I wonder if sometimes people are bothered by that, because especially if they like the person that's being written about. Like, this guy is, like, long dead. This is a guy from ancient times. But Marilyn Monroe is, like, 40 years old. So she's not... It's been 40, like, well, maybe probably longer than that, but it's not ancient. So I wonder if anyone ever finds, was bothered by that book. Because I know people don't love the Joyce Carol Oates' book. But let me read the back of this one. Tiberius Claudius Drusus Nero Germanicus lived from 10 BC to 54 AD, despised as a weakling and dismissed as an idiot because of his physical infirmities. Claudius survived intrigues and poisonings that marked the reign of Augustus, Tiberius, and the mad Caligula, to become Emperor of Rome in 41 AD. I, Claudius, the first part of Robert Graves' two-part account of the life of Tiberius Claudius, is written in the form of Claudius' autobiography. It stands as one of the modern classics of historical fiction. So unfortunately, there's more to this. This is only part one. There's another book out there. So I guess, like I said, it's a fictionalized version of his biography. And that's just really interesting. Like, it's fiction, but it's taking a real person, and it's written like it's their autobiography. Like, they're telling about their life. So that was from... Okay, and here are the other two books I got from thrift books along with Amberlow. We have Monsoon Mansion, which is a memoir by Sunil Barnes. This is a Filipino memoir. Another one to add to my collection. This is a library edition, a library bind up. That's why it has the plastic on it. It was one that was discarded. I cannot tell what library it was from originally, but I have gotten those before, where the book has been a discarded edition from the library. I mean, and the plastic protects them, so why not? Although I don't entirely love the plastic, but I'm not going to try to take it off like I did with the Eye of the Dragon, because I ended up ruining, with that one, I ended up accidentally cutting the actual dust jacket. So this is a woman's memoir, but it has magical realism. Let's see. Her life began as a fairy tale. That's the byline. Sunil Barnes was barely 3 years old when her family moved in Mansion Royale, a stately 10-bedroom home in the Philippines, filled with her mother's opulent social aspirations and the gloriously excessive evidence of her father's self-made success. It was a girl's storybook playland. When a monsoon hits, her father leaves and her mother's terrible lover takes the reins. Zanelle's fantastical child turns toward tyranny she can never have imagined. Formerly a home worthy of magazines and lavish parties, Mansion Royal becomes a dangerous shell of splendid palace in a one spin. In this remarkable ode to survival, Zanelle creates something magical out of her truth, underscored by her complicated relationship with her mother. Through a tangle of tragedy and betrayal emerges a revelatory story of perseverance and strength, of grit and beauty, of coming to terms with the price of family and what it takes to grow up. Let me see if I can read. Pascolason. I still can't read what library it's from. Pacuson. It was from a library in Virginia. Oh, so it comes from Virginia, actually. Which is probably why it came here soon. Why these two books came here sooner. Why this particular one got here sooner, because it's from Virginia. But yeah, it's not like this one's gonna be, sad, but it's gonna have some fantastical elements, I think, because I think there's gonna be some magical realism in this, unlike America's in the Heart, which was a lot darker of a story and are a lot darker of an autobiography about someone's life. And it, it's a different kind of hardship in this one. So yeah, that's another nonfiction that I have, an actual nonfiction other than the other one. And then the other book I got along with those two was Illustrado. And this is fiction by Miguel Saijuko. And it was a winner of Asian Literary Prize. So it's probably like I'm wondering, it's like the, Man Booker or something in the Philippines. It begins with a body. On a clear day in winter, the battered corpse of Crispin Salvador is pulled from the Hudson River. Taken from the world is the controversial lion of the Philippine literature. Gone, too, is the only manuscript of his final book, a work meant to rescue from obscurity by exposing the crimes of Filipino ruling families. Miguel, his student, only remaining friend, sets out for Manila to investigate. To understand the death, Miguel scours his teacher's life, piecing together Salvador's story through his poetry, interviews, novels, polemics, and memoirs. The result is rich and dramatic family saga of 4 generations, tracing 150 years of Philippine history under the Spanish, the Americans, and the Filipinos themselves. And I've heard that name before. I'm trying to think of where I've heard that name, but I've heard of that Crispin Salvador before. I mean, I don't think it's not Americans in the Heart. Who American in the Heart was by. That guy whose name was Carlos Bulasan. But I'm trying to think. I've heard of Crispin Salvador before. But anyway, But yeah, it sounded, like I said, this one also sounded really good. A family saga story for one, and also one of those stories where someone finds something from someone's past, a piece of someone's past, and decide to figure out what happened to them. What led to the... Yep, just another naked hardback, of course it is. This is why I don't like taking Just Jackets off, because they don't have a lot of books are just plain. They don't have anything on the... But yeah, it doesn't seem like a super long book, but, let's see, how many pages is this? Only 3 or 4 pages. That's not a super long book. But yeah, I'm excited to read this. I mean, I'm always excited with a lot of these Filipino literature or Filipino novels. It's so, like, it really is exciting to get more in touch with my Filipino roots and get to know a little bit more about the culture I mean, I would love to learn the language, but like as my mom pointed out when we were talking about it, she does say the only way learning a language is going to stick with you is if you use it, and I'm probably not going to use it because I won't be speaking Tagalog with people on a regular basis. I mean, occasionally I will. There are customers that are from the Philippines that I run into, but it's, I can't even always, like, I'm not always sure if the person is Filipino or not. Um, but yeah, and I guess I never really expressed interest, and my mom never asked us to learn it, you know. Um, but yeah, in an ideal world, I would love to learn it, but I probably won't. At least so if I ever did go to the Philippines, I think there is there is more English speaking people than in other Asian countries. I believe in the Philippines, but yeah, I'm excited to read this, but I'm always excited to read whenever I get new books. So there is that as well. Okay, now we're back to the books I bought with I Claudius. 2 more books I bought with I Claudius. So first we have John Meacham's Thomas Jefferson: The Art of Power, which is another Jefferson biography. I did notice the only problem with this one is that, okay, so the parts with, how these books always have like pictures in them, that are separate. Well, apparently it looks like someone tried to take those out of the book. Maybe they wanted to save them, but then they couldn't do it. Or they just handled the book really badly, but there's some pictures in here that have been like this, that can take it out, but they are in between some of the book. So, like I said, I can't really, so it's like I'll just have to, deal with it unless I find another copy of the book, and then I can switch it out. But although I would feel bad giving this to someone else and they have to deal with it. But yeah, so there are some parts of the book that aren't attached to the book. So I don't know what's going to happen when I read it, but it's going to be a pain in the butt to have to deal with. But I don't want to make anyone else have to deal with it, so I'm just going to keep it. But yeah, this will be my second biography of Jefferson, the other one being Thomas Jefferson: A Life, which I've not continued with. But I do want to. I just put it on pause for a little bit, and I will come back to it. I might read that one along with The Valley of the Dolls and Grace of Kings. I might pick that one up too. But anyway, but I am excited to read this. Like I said, the only thing is going to be difficult with these pages that can easily come out. But let me read what it says on the back. In this magnificent biography, Pulitzer Prize-winning author John Meacham brings vividly to life an extraordinary man in these remarkable times, giving us Thomas Jefferson, the man, the politician, and the president. A founder whose understanding of power and human nature enabled him to move men in martial ideas, to learn from his mistakes, and to prevail. Jefferson was passionate about many things: women, his family, science, architecture, gardening, Monticello, Paris, and more. He strove, despite fierce opposition, to realize his vision: the creation, survival, and success of popular government in America, drawing on archives in the United States, England, and France, as well as unpublished transcripts of Jefferson's presidential papers. Meacham shows us the professional Jefferson, a man of appetite, sensuality, and passion. He also presents Jefferson as the most successful political leader of the early republic, and perhaps in all American history, a leader who found the means to endure and to win. His story resonates today, not least because he led his nation through ferocious partisanship amid economic change and external threats. Jefferson also embodies an internal drama, the struggle of leadership of a nation to achieve greatness in a difficult and confounding world. But So, what I've said this before, what brought me to want to read the other about Jefferson and other presidents is actually because of John Adams, because they were sort of friends, and they have a very complicated relationship. And so I thought, I was like thinking as I was reading about that, I want to read more about Jefferson himself, especially because also in Ron Chernow's book about Hamilton, Jefferson is also plays a big role in that story, in Hamilton's story, the life of Hamilton as well. So, your next step is to read about Jefferson himself. So, I got that. And then the last book I have here to show you is a book on Madison, James Madison, a biography about Ralph Ketchum. So he was friends with Jefferson, and they were kind of on the same side against Hamilton and Adams. Although Madison was briefly helped Hamilton write the Federalist Papers, and I think. Oh wait, no, wait, not that one, not Madison. Never mind. I'm sorry. It wasn't It was not Madison. It was actually, or was it? It was John Jay Hamilton. And was it Maybe it was Madison. Fortunately, I have to get up and look, but I don't want to do that. So I'll double check when I'm done filming. If I got that fact wrong, it's been a while since I picked up the Federalist Papers. I need to pick them up again. I want to say what Madison was one of the writers. Yeah, yes. Because I'm thinking about the way I remember is the song from Hamilton, the musical. That's right. I cannot remember what the song is called. It's one of my favorite songs in the musical. It's kind of it's the song that kind of shows the progress of Hamilton's career after we won the Revolution and everything, and what he does with his life and stuff, and how he's very ambitious and always working, always busy trying to once again, improve himself. And the narrator Aaron Burr talks about him writing the Federalist Papers and how John Jay wrote 5 essays. And I think it was James Madison who wrote 29. I think it was 29. And now this is according to the song. And then Hamilton wrote the other 51. They wanted to write 85 essays. And John Jay could not do it anymore, and so he quit after writing 5 essays. And like I said, Madison wrote 29. Like I said, I'm going by the musical, the lyrics in the song. So I could be wrong with that, but I assume that the song is accurate in little details like that. Like I said, I could be wrong, but this is James Madison, and I don't know a lot about James Madison, except for he wrote. Not only was he part of the Federalist Papers, but he wrote the Bill of Rights, I think. Yeah, again, I only know about it from the Hamilton musical and reading the Hamilton biography. But yeah, I am determined to read this, and I really need to get back to that. I'm reading my biographies. I gotta get back to picking up the Jefferson A Life biography, and then read, and then, I also have a Ben Franklin one, and I have a Madison one. And then I have one about Adam's wife, Abigail, her life, and, I want to get there's another John Adams biography that I want to get as well, which is, I remember, because David McCullough's book was not working for her. I remember Kate Howe decided to set her sights on that other biography, which is John Adams' life. I don't remember who the author is, but again, a lot of these biographies are called, have the person that they're writing about, their name, and then a life. It's probably going a little overboard reading multiple biographies, but I think it's kind of fun, and also getting multiple perspectives on the person. If there's another biography, and I did get recommended another, and I apologize to the person if they're still subscribed to me and they're watching. I apologize, but I do not remember you mentioning that they mentioned another biography about Hamilton that they feel like is better in their opinion. So I would like to check that one out. But I don't remember what it was called. And like I said, I apologize if the person is still watching my channel. And if you are, and you watch this video, please let me know refresh my memory of what that biography was about Hamilton that you mentioned to me. Because I'm lazy and don't want to go back and look for the comment. But yeah, so let me read the back of this one. Okay. I don't know if they'll actually have a summary, because I mean, this is a biography, and we know it's about James Madison's life. Okay, I'll just read the blurbs they have on the back of here. So, Madison's personality comes alive in these pages, his strengths and weaknesses of mind and character clearly outlined. His great services in the Constitutional Convention of 1787 are geographically portrayed. The analysis of his political theory and of the way in which he sought to apply it to the establishment government under the Constitution is excellent. The depiction of Jeffersonian and Madisonian foreign policy up to the outbreak of the War of 1812 is clear and succinct. This is an excellent biography. American Historical Review. Which I feel like with biographies and nonfiction works, the blurbs are a little bit better. They're not just, this book is great, or this book is awesome, or, this book, is just like this other book. Like, that's the problem with a lot of fiction, I feel like, especially in fantasy and horror. Like, in genres that are really popular, that have a lot of book, but I feel like because nonfiction is often about specific things, and they're not just part of one, a genre that, like, everything can seem similar to another one. Like, I feel like nonfiction, because they often are about different topics, about specific people, people can get more specific in their blurbs talking about why a book is great when it comes to nonfiction. So that is, so this Los Angeles Times blurb says, utilizing the vast amount of source material made available in the last 30 years, Professor Ketchum has captured the essential man in his times, and in doing so has made him understandable for us in our own day. So then we have, from Virginia Magazine of History and Biography, considering Madison's long career, and of the mass data that underpins any study of man, Ketchum's one-volume biography is an impressive accomplishment. Ketchum writes with an especially sure mastery of the source of the early period of Madison's life. He provides a thoughtful survey of Madison's theory of government, his development as a political man. This single volume has provided a penetrating, highly readable biography which merits distinction as the best one-volume life of Madison yet written. So Ralph Ketchum is the author. He is Professor Emeritus of American Studies, Political Science, and Public Affairs, the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs, Syracuse University. His most recent publications are Presidents Above the Party, the First Presidency in 1789 to 1829, and Individualism in Public Life, an American Dilemma. So, the problem is I also still have the Walt Disney biography to continue with. And that's one of the first nonfiction books I obtained here. Now, that one was received as a gift. So, I didn't buy that one myself, but it's one of the first ones I had. So, I need to get to that one as well. So, anyway. That is how it's going right now with my reading. I would love to know what you are reading. Have you recently obtained some new books, whether you bought them or even got them from the library? Like I said, because I'm trying to read my own shelf, which has, been expanding continuously. I I just haven't found the opportunity to go to feel like I can go to the library without feeling, bad that I still have my own books to read. Now it doesn't help them, I constantly feel behind and have to, but I'm, like I said, I'm never gonna go cold turkey with book buying. I'm never gonna put a book buying ban on myself. So I just gotta work on reading like a lot of my books before I buy another book. That's the best I can offer. Anyway, so like I said, if you have recently borrowed books from the library or you recently purchased some books, I would love to know what those are. And I hope you are all having a good day right now, enjoying your reading. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, click the bell notification button below if you want to be notified of my latest videos. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!